way. You're gonna help me push.
No, bro.
Yeah, you want to be slick. You want to be slick
I'm
instead.
the camera guy. I gotta record.
Bitch, I'm not gonna push it by myself. I can get it from there to there. That's about it. So la reversiamos para allá. Then we'll push it forward. Then we'll just straight back. Let's go.
Many months later.
All right, guys, so we got Draco pulled into the shop. We had to kind of figure out where we left off. Now, the last thing we did was adding this Motion Raceworks catch can with brand new AN lines, and we actually mounted the Draco Performance coolers to them because we got 3 that we're mounting. Now, this one's gonna be for the transmission. Now, this top one up here is kind of hard to see. It's gonna be for the power steering, and then we have to add one for the engine oil cooler. So we're adding those 3 remote coolers. We finished off the piping work for the turbos. Big shout out to my boy Julio for taking care of us with that. We did the Precision Turbos 62, 66's next gen with the mirrored look, as you guys can see. We did that. We finished off the hot side. We did the cold side. Now, the only thing that's missing is adding the wastegate, and I believe we kind of, you know, drew it out here. We might have to make a hole here to mount the wastegate somewhere here, but we're gonna leave that to the end because we're not exactly sure if we're gonna still run it right here, maybe run it over here on the other side or here on top. We're still not 100% sure, so we're gonna leave that on the back burner for now. We want to get everything else ran. And then also another thing that a lot of you guys have been asking is why we're running the hot air or the exhaust back into the motor. That is just a temporary thing. This one, we didn't want to not add one and have water and dirt going into the turbo. And then we also didn't want to point it up because it was also going to get water and stuff in there. So we just pointed it straight down and we covered it for the time being. We have a lot of options with this. Like, it's either going to be pointing straight down and going straight down there, or we'll do some kind of a 180 and go back up with a teardrop, or I don't know, maybe even another fender exit. I don't know, we got a lot of options with that, but we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna wait that till the end because we have a lot of other things to run, and kind of depending on how much room we have after the fact is how we're gonna run the exhaust setup on this one. So more so, it's a lot of AN lines, AN fittings, and the Holley Terminator X Max harness that we have to run on this thing to get this thing to be up and running. So we got a lot of work to do on this video. I'm trying to at least run brand new fuel lines because we do have AN lines, but since this thing has been running E85 for a while, I don't know if the hoses, I don't know if it's time to change the hoses, to be honest, but I do want to change it because they're full of oil and they're dirty. And since we're going with a brand new setup, I want to have everything brand new. I want those hoses looking like these, you know, like just brand new. And the other ones are pretty dirty. Here's some of the old ones that I took out. They're just full of crud and oil, and they're just dirty. So, I mean, I figured it don't cost too much just to replace the AN lines. We reuse the fittings, and you know, we're good to go. So we're gonna do the fuel lines. We're actually gonna reroute the fuel line as well. I don't know if it's gonna be a little bit hard for you guys to see, but this line right there, that's the feed. Now, this feed used to be on the back side of the rails. Now we're gonna change it up and put it on the driver's side front. If you guys can see right there, it's gonna be hard to see, but we're gonna try to feed it in through the driver's side front fuel rail. And then it's gonna go, obviously it's gonna go to the back of the driver's side fuel rail, and then it's gonna loop in through the passenger side fuel rail and end up coming out through the passenger side front of the fuel rail, where that's where we're gonna mount this fuel regulator. So we're gonna be able to regulate our fuel pressure from the fuel regulator, go back to the fuel tank. So in order to do that, we're gonna have to kind of route it that way. So we're gonna do the fuel lines. We are actually gonna start probably running fittings and the lines for the transmission cooler, and probably try to tackle the power steering one too. Again, huge shout out to Draco Performance for being part of the build with these radiators or with these remote coolers. We actually spoke to them and they recommended to go with these exact coolers for the exact thing that we're doing on this truck. Now, this is a full-blown burnout truck. It's not gonna be a race truck, although we could probably still race it. It's being built for just burnout. So we called them, we told them exactly what we wanted to do. They were nice enough to tell us, hey, you know, we recommend these size coolers for this, for that, and that. So let's start wasting time and start working on these AN lines, these fuel lines, and all the other lines, and get some progress done. And hopefully, either on this video or on the next video, start working on the Terminator X Max harness, because once that thing is on there, I'm pretty confident that we'll be able to get this thing started, at least to be on its own power. So let's go ahead and get started so we can get some more progress done on Draco. So let's go. All right, guys, fuel system is about wrapped up. We finished running all the new AN lines and running that new fuel filter you guys just see me installing right now. I actually added some more brackets to make it a little bit more sturdy, so I'm gonna show you guys real quick how that looks. But real quick, I wanted to show you how it looks up here in the front. So from the front of the motor over here, we got the driver's side and we got the passenger side. The brand new 8 AN line, which is the feed line, is coming straight into the front of the fuel rails on the driver's side, going into a 100 psi fuel pressure sensor, and then leading towards the back of the motor from the fuel rail, jumping over to the passenger side. It'll be hard to see from this side, but pretty much it's jumping over from this fuel rail to this one on the back side of the intake, and then coming towards the front of the motor and finishing off on this fuel pressure sensor or fuel pressure regulator, and then coming out through a 6 AN line, going back towards the middle of the intake and back to the fuel tank. So pretty simple in the front. Actually, we rerouted everything. It was routed differently before when they had the first turbo setup, or the first setup with a single turbo. Now we ended up doing it like this. Hopefully we have no hiccups and everything works good. But I really like the way it turned out. It looked nice and clean and simple. All right, but let me show you real quick what I was talking about on the fuel filter setup. You see the lines coming in through the back of the motor, coming on top of the transmission. And then I added a little clamp on here to kind of help support this 6 AN line, the return line. And here we go. Here we are with the fuel filter. So I use these things called like rivet nuts. They're called rivet nuts. Pretty cool things to use. You actually make a hole on the you make a hole, use the rivet nut, which is something like this. I'm gonna show you this one. This is an old one, or one I tried using, but it was a fail. You pretty much just use this tool right here to kind of open up this rivet nut right here, and it stays on there. Now it has a threaded part inside where you can just screw in a screw anytime you want. So if I want to take this off later, I got one right there. I can take it off. Focuses. And then we got one on top. So if I need to take off this fuel filter for any kind of reason, just take off those two screws. This thing comes right off and it's good to go. So, but I did make a bracket right behind here to make it a little bit more sturdy, because once I put the bolt on top, it was just moving everywhere. Now this thing's not going anywhere. So came out good, I like it. And then the lines continue towards the back, towards the fuel tank. So I'll show you on the other side how it looks up there. But yeah, we ran all brand new AN lines. Before, it already had AN lines, but up to here only. Up to here. This is where the stock fuel filter goes. So I had AN lines all the way up to here, and then it hooked up to the OEM hard lines, and then they continue to go towards the canister back here and then into the tank. So I got rid of all that. We cleaned it up a little bit, make it look good. Got all the old lines over there, and just went straight AN lines all the way through. So I like the way it turned out. Looks pretty good. Let me show you how it looks over here by the tank. But let me see that view. Kind of glad I went with the red motor over the red paint. Looks pretty damn good. Both sides, you know. And the Circle D stock converter. It's looking good, looking good. We just need a fuel filter on this side. I need to actually finish planning where I'm gonna run the oil cooler. That's probably gonna be hooked up right there, right here. New filter, and then finish running the transmission lines. I already put the AN lines on there, but finish running them to the front towards the coolers and be good to go. That way we can bring this thing down. But let me show you real quick how it looks over here in the tank. Just simple, all brand new AN lines, like I said. All right, there it is. So from the fuel filter, comes right over here. It already has a brand new 450 that we put on there last year. We only used it like once or twice after we put it on there. Now we gotta move on to the next thing, so let's see what else we can tackle right now.